Hello, hello to all our change makers. We're so excited to come to you with another interview today. We encourage you to check out these amazing people that we're interviewing here because a huge desire for this group is for people to find each other that resonate with each other, that can collaborate to create even bigger and better solutions to help create health, wealth, and peace on planet Earth. So today we are absolutely excited to have with us Alexandra Niel. Welcome, Alex. Tell everybody about who you are and what makes you so amazing.
All right. Well, thank you, first of all, for having me. It's always so fun to be able to share our stories. So,
Yes.
I'm Alex Neal. I am originally French. I moved to the US back in '85. So, this year, 40 years, I will be celebrating of living in the US. Pretty amazing, right?
Mhm.
And what I do is, after 30 years in corporate, I decided to go out on coach on my own. And what I do today is I support women that are coming out of heartbreak, whether it's a divorce or the end of a long term relationship. And I help them to really rediscover who they are, recraft their identity, and rebuild their life on their terms. And I do it because when I came out of my divorce, I had no idea who I was or what I wanted. I was really clear about what I didn't want, which was what I just came out of, but
Mhm.
really no clue who I was because I gave so much to the relationship and to his business and to his needs that somewhere along the way I lost track of who I was, the things that made me happy, and the things that made me who who I was. So I went on a journey of rediscovery, and I'm hoping to shorten the journey for some women, right? To be able to feel like there's somebody on the journey that is there for them to support them and to see them through the journey, but also because I went through a lot of ups and downs and a lot of it was definitely not a straight line.
Mhm.
So being able to make that journey a bit easier is really what I'm passionate about.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's many of us who are problem solvers. We want to, bottom line is we want to lessen people's suffering, right? It's like, wow, if we can help shorten that journey, help to make it a little less painful, that is a beautiful thing. So, one of the questions that crosses my mind, so it sounds like you're there to help pick people up after they're, or maybe even during, while they're deciding when,
Mm.
whether or not to get divorced. But do you include in your services, or are you working with anybody who, once they've kind of come through that might help them to attract the right kind of people?
Well, that's all part of the journey, right? And
Right.
attracting the right kind of people means that we've done our inner work. Because
Exactly.
otherwise, how many women do you know say, why do I keep attracting all the same people and they're not the right person, right? And that's
Yep.
because we're just repeating patterns, we're replaying patterns, things that served us when
Hmm.
we were younger or in different situations that no longer serve us. So
Hmm.
before we can even think about, you know, that next step of bringing the right person in our life, we have to really get really clear and really fall in love with ourselves. Be okay being by ourselves because it's a different energy when we bring somebody, when the universe brings us somebody, right? When we know who we are, when we know what we like to do, when we're clear about what we're going to accept and not accept. Because until we have those things really secure within us, the universe is just going to keep bringing people that are going to make us do the work. And at some point, you wake up and you're like, I'm done doing the work. I've done the work, but I keep doing the work. So it's, once we get them through that journey, and because I now have been in a relationship for 13 years almost with my guy, right? He's went through his divorce journey and his growth journey, and I did the same. And we're making it work. And not only are we making it work, but this is like really, really awesome. I mean, I don't have anything on your 42 years, right? But our 13 years are looking like they're going to 42 if we're still if we're still around by then. But it's so I know what it takes not just to recover and rediscover who you are, but really how to be in a relationship with someone, because that was actually how I started the journey, was that I don't want to make the same mistakes again.
Mm.
If I'm going to do this, I need to show up differently, but I don't know what that looks like. Right. So I had to learn different ways of showing up, not just because I wanted somebody new in my life, but because I wanted to do that for me
Mm.
so that I wouldn't, again, make the same mistake that I had done before. And I use the word mistake loosely
Mhm.
because this mistake was a gift. I
Yes.
don't think, when I think back, I don't think I really knew who I was until I went through my divorce,
Yeah.
right? I knew, or I had an idea of how I wanted to show up in my relationship because my role model was my mom. So I showed up the way she showed up, which was to give, 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 give to everyone,
Mhm.
her kids, her husband, and never taking for herself, right? And never putting herself first. And that was the pattern that I had to break, because I realized for me to be able to fully show up in a relationship, I need to be okay.
Mm. Absolutely, absolutely. So it sounds like, and boy, I'm hearing this from a lot of people in bump. This is, I think this is a key to what's trying to happen on planet Earth right now. Is it's really, especially for women, helping them to understand their self-worth, their
Hmm.
self-value, finding that self-love, right?
Absolutely. And, I think about the work that Sana does, and that
Hmm.
is so, so important, right?
Yes.
Learning to be okay with who we are, to stop beating ourselves up, to stop expecting to be perfect, because
Hmm.
that's the conundrum, I think, for women, is that we have to be the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect employee, the perfect contributor, the perfect, like all of these perfect things.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, it's Mission Impossible on steroids,
True. True.
right? And the only way we can even begin to be, let's use the word perfect loosely, is by being perfectly who we are for ourselves so that we can show up that way for others. And then people can choose whether they want to be in our life or not.
That is
But
true.
we're good.
Good enough. We
Good
are
enough. That's
enough.
right. That's right.
Yes, and sometimes that's a hard one to get through for too many people. There's so many things that slam us all along life's path that make us question that, and I certainly understand. Now, I know, you asked me a lot about this earlier, so turnaround is fair play. So how
Thank
important do you think it is for somebody to identify a real purpose or a mission in their life in terms of going through this healing process?
well, I think that having that purpose and understanding what it is that we're really here to do, because I refuse to believe that we're just here to exist.
Mm-mm.
We're just
Nope.
here because we just happen to, like, somebody dropped us here, and so when we have and we can find and identify what our purpose is, then it gives our life meaning. It gives, like, I didn't know what my purpose for being here was until I went through this experience.
Mm.
And I realized over time, I looked for it in different ways. And like one day finally was like, duh, right? This is why this is why you're here. This is why you went through this stuff, right?
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
everybody's story is going to be different. Everybody's experience is going to be different. But within all of us, I think there is a nugget that is calling to be discovered, to be unveiled, to be unfolded. And when we start doing our work, our inner work, that's when we start to really be able to tap into what that could be. And your purpose might be to be the best mom there is.
Right.
Your purpose might be that simple, just to create other really good humans.
Hmm.
And it might be that you want to change the world, and both are okay,
True.
right? So I think that being able to tap into that for ourselves gives our life meaning, and it allows us to carefully choose the people that we bring into our life.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. The more alignment that you can have with other people who have at least some kind of alignment with where you're going and what you're doing. I mean, it's more fun, but more productive and I think healthier in a lot of ways. So, for sure. So I'm curious. I mean, was there a turning point? Was there an event of some sort in your marriage that all of a sudden you said, this is it. I have to change something. I have to leave.
There was. And and I remember it clear as day. I was having umpteenth argument with my former husband. And all of a sudden, I heard a little voice, and I literally heard a voice, like it was like just somebody was saying to me, it was like, I don't like who I am when I am with you. And I was changing and becoming somebody I didn't like when I was
Mm,
with him. And that was my switch. That was what the flip of the switch. It doesn't mean that I left right away. I still
mm,
looked for ways to find, to make it work and to look for solutions, and that's great, except when only one person is trying to do that,
mhm,
it doesn't work.
mm-mm.
Both it's like trying to play a tennis game with somebody in front of you and they're not batting the ball back, right? They're not hitting the ball back to you. It's like, what's the point,
Right.
right? And so I think from that moment, it still probably took me a year or two because I don't remember exactly the date, but it took me a good year or two to finally say, this is not, I can't do this. I felt like I was alone in this
Mm,
relationship.
mm.
And the more I gave, the more he took, the more I lost myself.
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah, something had to be
Mm,
done.
mm, 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 mm. Well, on a more brighter note, do you have any cool stories of people you've helped?
Well, I'm working with somebody right now who has been divorced actually for a while, but she's been struggling with just really tapping into who she is
Mm,
and what she wants,
mm,
because very much like we talked about, she happened to be in a different situation in that she was in an abusive relationship, but she gave to her former husband, she gave to her kids, she gave to everyone. And again, she just really didn't know how to show up for herself.
mm.
And I'm we've been working together 7 or 8 weeks now, I think, somewhere around there. And she texts me every week to tell me like what's going on, what's like the progress she's making and the things she's discovering. And it's one thing to see your clients, to see them make a change, right? And to
Mhm.
see them changing and evolving in their thinking and their behaviors. But it's another thing entirely when people start to notice,
Yes. Yes.
right? And people are starting to notice. People are starting to make comments about like her energy is different, the way she carries herself is different, how she's showing up is different. And that's because little by little she's taking her power back.
Hmm.
And I say this and I have goosebumps from the top of my head to the tip of my toes because this is what I live for.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. For people to find self. That is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's like I was talking to somebody else and they talked about it as an unfolding. And I just thought it was
Mhm.
such a beautiful way of saying it because growth feels very masculine energy, right? Unfolding feels much more flowy and more feminine and more,
Yes.
really more of that journey that we're talking about.
Hmm. I get it. I get it. Well, with all this amazing work you're doing, I mean, do you have any big visions for the future? Do you see yourself in a bigger way, doing bigger things in the next 5 to 10 years?
You know, you and I know each other through Bump, right? And
Hmm.
before I joined Bump, I had this vision of I'm going to coach my women and we're going to do awesome things together, right?
Yep.
And now I'm like, I'm freaking creating a movement. Like that's what's calling to my heart is that I just want to spread this message and being on bigger stages and doing just like all of these different things that can get the message out there so women realize just how powerful they are. Because I think we can change the world. I really believe that. I think our energy and how we approach things can change the
Hmm.
world. But we can't do that if we play in the sandbox that society tells us is ours to play in.
That's true.
So I would just want to break down all of the misconceptions and the assumptions and the the cages that we've consciously or unconsciously built around us so that we can make the difference that we're here to make.
Mm, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're right. Somehow Bump has shifted a lot of things for a lot of us in terms of, just how big and how far are we supposed to take
Hmm.
this? And it is an unfolding that we're all experiencing, right? When I'm listening to you talk, though, it reminds me of something I did back in 2016, and I keep wondering if somehow it's supposed to be revived because I actually grabbed a group of 12 women from the Raleigh, North Carolina area, and I took them to Washington D.C. and gave them a platform to speak on the National Mall, and we called it Women Leading from the Heart. And these were all women who had found that calling within themselves, and they were actively creating in their community solutions without anybody's permission. I mean, they were putting politicians to shame, which was one of the reasons why I wanted them to be in DC. I said, we're going to mix up the energy somewhere.
Good.
So, but that's the ultimate of what is possible is there's so many women with brilliant ideas who haven't found their voice, haven't, felt confident to express those ideas. And, who knows, maybe your movement ends up birthing some of those women leading from the heart.
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, that would be like the ultimate, right? To know that
Yeah.
it started from this little seed and grew into this magnificent tree, flower, whatever, right?
Yeah.
To be able to affect that,
Mhm.
I can die happy.
Yes, definitely. Knowing you accomplished big things.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
but that is the potential of empowering people, right? And, women have been in the back seat far too long. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not appreciative of our guys. We also have a group that's kind of coming together right now that I've encouraged them to call themselves Men on a Mission United.
And I fully agree with you. This does not take away anything from the magnificence of the men.
Yes, Right.
Not nothing. It's just I think we can do so much more if we start looking at what we can do as a united front
Yes.
versus as an us and them and battling and trying to look for our space when there is space for everyone.
Yes.
And when we can show up and actually lock elbows or hold hands and move forward together,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the magic happens. That's when the big things like come together.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I love collaboration, but boy, it's hard to find the right people who understand what that really is all about. Because, it's like, no, we've been taught in a man's world of business that, business is all about competition and, all these, it's all about the profit. And it's like, that's one of the beautiful things about the bump community is,
Mm,
I think we are much more open to finding places to connect and help each other and support each other. And again, I'm all about creating more distinct integrated solutions by
mm.
bringing multiple small business owners together. So, yeah, be on the lookout because I'm going to be tapping a lot of people for that.
Yeah, and the one thing that because we're talking about masculine and feminine men and women, right?
Hmm.
If you go back far enough in history, there was a time where women were revered. Women
Mm,
were leaders. Women were the oracle. They were who the people tapped into for wisdom and for
mm,
knowledge and for direction.
yeah,
And somewhere along the way, this got corrupted somehow.
yes, yes,
And it's there. I can't think of a better time for us to start tapping into that again.
agreed. Totally agreed. Wow. Well, I think there's plenty of people who've got similar mindset, and the more that we band together and find ways to go forward together, the better off it's going to be. So,
Hmm.
uh, gotta make sure that I give you the opportunity. Tell people how can they find you, how they can connect with you. Tell them about your Facebook group.
I was going to say, actually, the best place to find me is really in my Facebook group. It's called Awakened Heroine. And the idea really is it's a group that was created with the intent for women to find their voice again,
Mm,
to heal their past, to embody their truth, to reclaim their power, and really just start living from that place of power and yet gentleness, right?
yes,
Because
yes,
power doesn't mean,
no,
right?
there
It's
can still be compassion.
there can be compassion, and there is, you can catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, kind of thing,
True.
right? So that's what the group is meant to be, to help women who are coming out of those difficult heartbreak moments to just take some time for themselves to get to know themselves again, to fall in love with themselves again, so that they can show up in the world in a way that is empowering, supportive, and really can just change things around.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Need to heal the heart so they can operate from the heart.
That's right. Ooh, I like that. I'm going to steal that.
Be my guest.
Yeah. I think, the common wisdom of thinking is king um, needs to be revised because your head can lie to you very easily. Your body
Mhm.
never lies. Your intuition never lies.
No. No. Definitely not. And it's a challenge sometimes when you are trying to
Yeah.
collaborate with people who are too stuck up here. And I've said for years that one of the biggest challenges we have is to help people connect their head and their heart. There's scientific evidence that says there's a brain in our heart too. And if we don't connect them, then we're not getting to that full essence, that full empowerment of who we're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are good things about the head, and there are good things about the intuition, and there are moments where one is right over the other, but the idea is to have that balance and
Yes,
not nullify one over the other.
I agree wholeheartedly. Wonderful. Well, it has been a joy having you with us here today, and hopefully we'll get some more people to go find your group and become a member there, and see how we can lift up these ladies who have experienced this heartbreak. As yeah, we need healed hearts. We need
Yeah.
engaged hearts. We need people leading from the heart. So I'm going to hold that vision for you and your group.
Thank you.
And any final words of wisdom you would like to leave people with?
I think it's easy when we are going through this journey to think about, why is this happening to me? So I
Mm,
would invite you to think about this as this is happening for you. There's a reason why you're going through this, and find that reason, you know,
yes,
and tap into that because it's going to make it so much easier.
absolutely. Agree wholeheartedly. Well, thank you again, Alex. It's been great. And thank you to all of our change makers for tuning in and getting to know more of the amazing people in this group. And we'll see you in the next interview. In the meantime, have an amazing day. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Thank you, everyone.